So Donald Trump took the oath of office for a second time yesterday, becoming the 47th president of the United States. We heard that Trump several times throughout the day. We heard from him, beginning with his inaugural address from inside the Capitol Rotunda, surrounded by family, former presidents, cabinet appointees, and tech billionaires.
The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world.
So, Jonathan Lemire, you've been looking at the two tabloids, and there's your split screen. We've got the grim speaker with the Daily News and the golden age of America with the New York Post. And Willie, I think that about sums it up. What yesterday's festivities were for an electorate that was pretty much evenly divided. You know, there are a lot of people that listened to what he said yesterday, voted for him, and said, "Yay, America, we're coming back." And then there were others who actually looked at data and looked at facts and realized that our economy is stronger relative to the rest of the world than it's ever been. Our military alliances strengthened over the past 4 years in a way they've never been. And that, in fact, America militarily is stronger relative to the rest of the world than it's been since 1945. And yet, that speech, the events of yesterday, again, two Americas saw two completely different things. And as George Will wrote in his column, two Americas just did not understand the other side. And there was one other thing that George Will added in his Washington Post column, and he talked about manners. That sounds very old-fashioned. But he said it also two Americas with a very different view of how we treat one another. And it just, we're just not used to looking at these events, seeing other presidents and other people who've sacrificed their all for this country, just being trashed 5 feet away. That's happened now twice in history. But again, this is what Americans voted for. And the divide, again, is illustrated so clearly in these two New York tabloids. Two Americas who saw yesterday's events through two completely different prisms.
Yeah, if you follow Donald Trump, if you watch certain cable networks and read certain newspapers, his inaugural address made complete sense to you. The case is that America is a nation in decline, and he has arrived to save us, to rescue the country. It was the same case he made, remember, in 2017 at his inaugural address. And you're right, yesterday, when we were on the air, felt relatively conventional. Donald Trump shaking hands, arriving at the White House, right, having tea with the Bidens, all of those things. Even walking into the rotunda there, right up until the moment he stepped to the stage and began speaking, as you said, with President Biden, Vice President Harris, all the former presidents sitting in that room, and just began trashing America in a speech that, as I said, will resonate with the people who support him and voted for him, because that's the version of the story they've been hearing for several years now. And then he delivered on what he promised, that a lot of people hoped were just threats. Particularly in terms of emptying the jails of violent offenders around January 6th, almost 1,600 of them. and a slew of executive actions he took that, again, were things he had said he was going to do, so shouldn't be totally surprising, but hoped that someone could intervene somewhere along the way. As J.D. Vance said a week ago,
Right.
well, if you committed a crime, if you committed violence against a police officer, you should not come out of jail. That was the messaging from people even who supported him.
Pam Bondi, too, as
Pam
well.
Bondi said the same at
So
her.
the day
at
was
her-
like a crescendo.
Tom Tillis said the same as well. And there are a lot of other Republican senators this morning,
Right.
obviously, trying to figure out what they're going to say.
Yeah.